Peace to the family. Hope that you can all hear me. Welcome to another show of Africa Online TV. I'm your host, Brother Reggie, if you haven't met me before, and it is my pleasure to meet you as you come in. If you come into the program, please like uh, and subscribe to my show. Sure, my show is a small show, uh, but I'm a thought leader in this community. I'm a independent researcher and I do good independent research. And sometimes I kind of analyze what's going on and I try to give an analysis that will help. Instead of there are in a lot of channels different focuses. Some focuses on dialoguing and kind of uh, getting the truth out that way. I don't do a whole lot of dialoguing with groups of people. What I do is just I put forth the ideas and with research. So tonight's show is a kind of a continuation of yesterday's show, but I'm taking another vantage point to it. So I'm gonna get started real quick. I don't expect to be on long, but I think it's going to be really important. Okay, so we have a community in African American that's growing pretty fast. It's called the Black Hebrew Israelite community or the Black Israelite community, right? And they use the Old Testament and the New Testament, so they're messianic. They're Hebrews that seem to follow the law, that say they follow the law, and that they see Jesus as a continuation of the old law, and still use the Gospels and Paul in the Gospels, which is really contradictory. Uh, and so they have come up with this concept that they are Shemetic, or our people in the United States are Shemetic, and the Africans on the continent are Hamitic. And then there's other groups. There's Japhet, right? But they call themselves Shemetic. And how they get this is a kind of a long story. First, it starts with F.S. Cherry and Crawley uh, declaring themselves, or our people here in America, Israelites. It begins there. And so once that begins, then it begins kind of putting on the robe of Israelites, right? And then so they make a claim. Now, um, here's a problem. If you believe in a smidgen of Jesus Christ, right? Shazmu Patah, Amun, peace. If you believe in a smidgen of Christianity, smidgen, then you know that Jesus Christ is the last prophet. So if Christianity, Jesus Christ is the last prophet, then it's all set to revelations. There's nothing else needed, right? There's no other identity. It's already done because Jesus supposedly accepts the old law, right? So um, there's no need for Crawley and F.S. Cherry. And then there's another test. The other test is, did they give a false prophecy? If they gave a false prophecy, then they're false prophets. So the Old Testament has a cure for false prophets, right? So again, Jesus Christ is the if you believe in the doctrine, right? He's the last prophet, messenger in Christianity. And if you believe that someone could accidentally come across after Jesus, well, then what you have to do is then you have to put together these tests to say if they are false prophets. Then there's another problem. It comes Well, if you say that you're Shemitic and you're not Hamitic, first of all, these are biblical terms. They don't exist in reality. They're subjective terms uh, based on the book. So you either accept them or not. Our problem is most people go along with them, right? So when these people are saying things about Hamitic people and they're not Hamitic, we make the mistake of playing into that game. Why we don't have to play the game is because they never proved that they're Shemitic. So how could they call somebody else Hamitic when they never proved that they were Shemitic? So this show is the beginning of that part. So I'm gonna play my video for you to give you some insight and maybe have a little discussion. And then I'll watch later on if they continue. I have another show on false prophets. That false prophets I will examine F.S. Crawley. I will examine, sorry, Crawley, F.S. Cherry. I will examine Whitworth Matthews. I will examine Abba Bivens. I will examine the Comforter, right? And generally one West, right? If you persist. Visa, what's going on? How you doing, Visa? Peace and respect to you. Thank you so much. And the chat, my brother, thank you so much. Shimshu, thank you for coming in, right? And Solomonic TV, uh, peace to you. So the lesson today that we're given is that uh, these Hebrew Israelites, Black Israelites, however they want to call it, Israelites, they are claiming that they are Shemitic and other people are Hamitic, right? Or they're claiming that other people are Hamitic. Well, they haven't proved ever that they're Shemitic, ever, to be able to call someone else Hamitic. So, I just listened to the arguments of the other show about people getting upset with the captain for calling, Africans Hamitic and saying the things that he says. Well, he's a soldier. He's an officer. He's a captain. He's involved. Born Dog, my brother. Peace to brother Born Dog. Peace to you. It's always a pleasure, sir. Hope you and your family's doing well, and everybody's doing well. But Born Dog is one of my day ones. I appreciate you. So the question is, oh, Mika, how you doing, Mika? You seen the post that Katazat put up? No. Can you share it? Right? Because then I'm just gonna go. It's just gonna give me more fuel after this. So can you put the chat? Could you put it in the chat, and I could take a look at this. So here we go. So for them, thank you, Mika. For them to call us Hamites, they have to show that they're Shemites. And guess what, family? They can't do it. And uh, F.S. Cherry and Crawley, the problem with them is that they're acting as prophets. But if they believe in their Messiah, right? They never said Crawley or F.S. Cherry is Messiah, that they're anointed, right? So, and they have to believe that Jesus is the last Messiah if they believe in that, right? So, so uh, they have to, yeah, they're gonna have to show primaries, right? In other type of things. So yeah, Barn Doug is right. Where do we find it? Okay, so let's go through my show. I try to make a show that you could follow. Okay, so here we go. So they can say anything that they want, but first of all, I got real education. I got education. They can't beat me on education. Can't beat me on that, right? And I'm not battling with them. I'm just talking about fallacies. Let me see. I think I heard you mention Crawley as I entered to stream Africa Online TV. Being from Oklahoma, I have a lot of newspaper clips on Crowdy. Study Black Oklahoma history thoroughly as possible. Well, Visa, then you got the goods. We like to hear Crowdy's sermons, right? We would like to, because he's one of those that claim that we are Israelites, and it was just a claim. But he can't do that because he's not a prophet. There's no prophet after Jesus Christ. None. There's no biblical prophecies that say there's going to be a prophet from America in the Bible. So Crawley, so Crawley and FS Cherry. Now the problem is with one of them, they made a prophecy that didn't come true at all, meaning the race war, right? That was supposed to come in 2000. So Crawley, I think FS Cherry, who made that prophecy, is a false prophet. So we can't listen to him at all. He failed. Uh, he failed. He's a false prophet. That's one of the tenets of a test of being a false prophet. But it doesn't matter anyway. Those people's Jesus Christ is the last prophet to Revelation. So let's go. Let's see what Shesmu says. What's the difference between a Hamite and Shemite and a Geosite, right? Well, it's a Jephusite. Um, these are biblical terms. These are made up terms. These terms come not in Proto Hebrew, not Proto Sinaitic. These terms come after they got transported into Assyria and Babylon, where they uh, had much more of a modern view of the world. Before that, they was just uh, vine, grapevine growers and goat herders and sheep, regular common people trying to have a life, right? Until the global, the geopolitics got to them, and they lost the war, and they was transported. They were literally picked up and transported, and in that transportation, they come with new ideas, right? And these new ideas impact them later for the later Bible writers, and then they do a lot of acronyms, right? What Crowley even proclaimed he wouldn't die. Thank you very much, Visa. So he was trying to do some Jesus Christ stuff, false prophet, right? So once you're a false prophet, can't listen to nothing that you say. Once you make a prophecy and it don't come true, you're out of the picture. However, they don't want us to examine that. So let me play this video for you, and let's see what you got to say about it. But Mika, whatever Captain Katazar said, I like to talk about it. All right. So if you could put the link in the chat, that would be fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, okay, so I got to mute my mic. I think I got to mute my mic. Well, I'll play it first and then mute my mic. All right. If you would like me to stop it in the chat, just say stop, right? But here it goes.
Title: A Critical Refutation of Black Hebrew Israelite, Claims of Shemitic Descent and Multiplication in Africa by Brother Reggie. Abstract: This paper examines and refutes the historical.
Hi. First, can you hear it? Please let me know you hear it, and I can begin the replay. I just want to make sure that you can hear it. Were you able to hear it? Somebody say yes or no. Somebody please help me out. Were you able to hear it so I can play it? Were you able to hear the video? All right. If you're not able, I'll put it in. If you can hear the video, if you can hear okay, good to go. Shesmo, thank you so much. Here you go. Thank you so much. All right, so let me mute my mic.
Title: A critical refutation of Black Hebrew Israelite, claims of Shemitic descent and multiplication in Africa by Brother Reggie. Abstract. This paper examines and refutes the historical and genealogical claims by Black Hebrew Israelite movements that assert a Shemitic, Semitic origin and expansion in Africa, contrary to overwhelmingly Hamitic genealogies associated with the continent's indigenous peoples. Drawing from genetic, linguistic, and historiographical research, the analysis highlights the lack of credible evidence supporting these claims and reviews why the Shemitic narrative is historically and scientifically unsustainable. Not only this, the New Testament destroys this narrative for those who claim they are both Hebrew and believe in Christ, for in the Christ, faith. It is faith only that is a requirement and not bloodlines as with Old Testament Hebrew faith. This contradiction makes the Shemite identity ludicrous. If this conversation continues to persist in our community, I will reveal my paper on false prophets. A short note: if you believe in Christ, Jesus Christ is the last prophet and all so-called prophets after him are false. This includes those African Americans extending the Abrahamic faith. Introduction. Black Hebrew Israelites, BHI, argue publicly that their ancestral origins are Shemitic, not Hamitic, and that they multiplied in Africa as Semites. These claims, intended in part as an identity reconstruction and response to oppression, are pervasive in Black nationalist and religious discourse in the United States and elsewhere. However, there is little historical, genetic, or linguistic evidence supporting these assertions. Except misreadings of Deuteronomy, the Bible does not continue this farce. Again, in the New Testament, it is faith that bonds you to the identity only, which is subjective belief. At the end of this paper, I offer a challenge to prove this farce by empirical data. Genealogical and historical critique. The genealogical framework of the Hebrew Bible, Genesis 10, places the ancestors of African peoples, Cush, Mizraim, Egypt, Phut, Put, and Canaan, as descendants of Ham, not Shem, Parfit, 2013, Crowdy, 1892. Academic analyses have shown that ancient Egyptians, Nubians, Libyans, and other Africans were not classified as Semitic peoples. Instead, Semitic languages, Akkadian, Aramaic, Hebrew, Phoenician, Arabic, appeared in the Near East and northern fringe of Africa only via later migration, conquest, or trade. Historical research confirms that the Atlantic slave trade drew from West and Central African populations, overwhelmingly classified as Hamitic, not Semitic. Smithsonian Institution 2024, Parfit 2013. Claims of descent from ancient Israelites among African Americans ignore the diversity of ethnic backgrounds among enslaved populations. Genetic evidence. Genetic studies find no broad Shemitic ancestry among African Americans or sub-Saharan Africans. A notable exception is the Lemba tribe in southern Africa, whose oral traditions and genetic evidence, Y chromosome studies, link them to ancient Jewish populations. However, this is exceptional and limited in scope, absolutely not representative of the entire continent or diaspora. Now, believers, prove your genetics. Don't now say you don't believe in DNA, but use the Lembi tribe as an example. Other claims, such as the Falashas, Beta Israel of Ethiopia, have been disproved by genetic studies. Their ancestry does not show significant links to ancient Israelites, but likely derives from indigenous African populations with later Jewish influence. Linguistic data. The languages spoken in sub-Saharan Africa, Niger-Congo, Afro-Asiatic, non-Semitic except in Ethiopia, and Nilo-Saharan show no basis for Shemitic genealogy except for post-Islamic Arab expansion and South Arabian migration to Ethiopia, Eritrea. Hebrew and Aramaic never appeared as native African languages. Their minor prevalence in Africa is a result of much later trade and religious conversion. Identity construction and theological motivation. Recent scholarship interprets Black Hebrew Israelite claims as part of psychological resistance strategies in response to racism and social marginalization. While these efforts provide meaning and empowerment, they lack historical and scientific substantiation. Premillennialist reinterpretations, oral traditions, and reconstructions of identity among some African groups are modern inventions with little basis in ancient genealogical reality. Conclusion. The notion that Black Hebrew Israelites multiplied as Shemites in Africa, excluding Hamitic descent, is not supported by biblical, historical, genetic, or linguistic data. While legitimate minority Jewish communities of African descent exist, their origin is specific and does not validate wide Shemitic genealogy for all sub-Saharan Africans or African Americans. Academic consensus is clear. Black Hebrew Israelite claims are symbolic, not scientific or historical. Challenge. Criteria for demonstrating Shemitic lineage. For individuals or groups claiming Shemitic Israelite ancestry, especially those such as Black Hebrew Israelites, the academic standard for demonstrating lineage is high due to the extraordinary nature of their claims and the overwhelming historical, genetic, and linguistic evidence to the contrary. Anyone asserting direct descent from ancient Shemites must provide verifiable and scientifically sound evidence across several disciplines. The following outlines the necessary steps and criteria required for legitimate demonstration. Documentary genealogy. Present a continuous, documented patrilineal or matrilineal genealogy that traces one's ancestry from present day back to a recognized Israelite or ancient Jewish community, without large, unsubstantiated gaps or reliance on oral tradition alone. This includes official vital records, community documents, and third-party authentication spanning all required generations. As shown when Black Hebrews attempted to claim citizenship in Israel under the law of return, such documentation was required but could not be produced, resulting in denial of status. Genetic testing. Submit to peer-reviewed, independently interpreted genetic testing demonstrating Y chromosome or mitochondrial DNA matches with known Israelite, Levite, Jewish haplogroups. These markers should correspond specifically to populations with proven ancient Semitic descent, e.g., Cohen modal haplotype J1, J2 lineages. In practice, reputable studies show the vast majority of sub-Saharan African populations, including African Americans, do not present these haplogroups, with few exceptions like the Lemba, NIH, 1995 PMCN and CBI DNLM EIH. Historical and cultural continuity. Demonstrate continuity of Israelite religious, cultural, and linguistic practices within the community, including preservation of Hebrew texts, ritual objects, language, and customs in unbroken lineage from ancient Israelite tradition, not as recent reconstruction or adoption. Claims also must survive scrutiny regarding the transmission and preservation of identity during the transatlantic slave trade and subsequent centuries, addressing the reality of demographic mixture and assimilation. Peer review and academic scrutiny. All evidence must be submitted to qualified historians, geneticists, and anthropologists for peer review, replication, and acceptance according to the standards of academic publication and consensus, not isolated or proprietary interpretations. Rejection of unsupported claims. Oral narratives, visions, or selective biblical interpretations alone are insufficient and cannot substitute for stringent documentary, genetic, and historical proof. The burden of evidence remains with those asserting extraordinary claims. Summary table: required proofs for Shemitic lineage claim. Proof type description academic requirement. Genealogy: documented ancestry to ancient Israel. Continuous records, no gaps. Genetics: Semitic haplogroup identification. Peer-reviewed labs replication. Cultural continuity: preserved Israelite customs, texts, language unbroken tradition, not recent. Peer review: accepted by relevant academic experts, published, cited, scrutinized.
Alrighty. So in this short presentation, the burden of ridiculous or extraordinary claims remain with those that make the claims, right? Uh, they can't, and Cedric knows this, and anybody else who's ever completed any university science, right, knows that uh, these people can't use science, right, uh, to refute scientific claims, right, without showing that they actually know the science. So they can make claims trying to use our tools when we don't use biblical tools. So biblical tools do not work. So, but the tools that we use, anthropology, biology, DNA, right, archaeology, the tools that we act and use, right, history, they don't use those tools. But they may pull out something that they might find that makes their case, but they're actually not doing science. They're just pulling out information that they think that they can use to confuse. Second, when it comes to academia, I'm pretty sure there are some Black Hebrew Israelites or Israelites that have at least a bachelor's or a master's degree. I don't know how many of them actually have a PhD degree, but those with the higher degrees, we haven't seen. What we have seen is kind of self-taught groups, and we've seen those type of groups in our community, and they're strong and they're boisterous and they got numbers, but none of that means that they're right. When you want to make extraordinary claims and then use science, then we have to use the science. So if you want to say that we in America are connected, when I mean Shemitic, I mean connected to this out of African population that began in the Levant area, right? Then you have to show it with science. If you're making extraordinary claims that you are of them, then you can't even proceed unless because you have the burden. We never have the burden. We never have the burden of extraordinary claims. They have the burden of extraordinary claims. So if they might find one in their community that may have some J markers, right? But that's not all of them. So these are extraordinary claims. Then their biblical claims fall because Jesus Christ is the last messenger in Christianity, and Crawley and F.S. Cherry and Abba Bivens and the rest of them, those are they have no they have no biblical uh, they have no biblical support, right? They have to be false prophets because Jesus Christ or Yeshua, there's nothing in the Old Testament and New Testament that says any new prophets come after the prophets that were mentioned in that book. And then if any of them was associated with a false prophet or there was a false prophet, then that's what it is. There's a test for false prophets. Oh, Jabba, peace to you, Jabbar. My brother Jabbar, thank you so much. So there we have it, family. So the burden of extraordinary claims is with those with extraordinary claims, right? if they have these claims, they have to go through what everybody else has to go through with the claims, and they have not. This is 2025, family. This is 2025. This is we have more tools, right? Linguistic tools, DNA tools, historical tools, anthropological tools, right? I think I said linguistic tools, right? We have more people that are college educated. This is not the time period of FS Cherry and Crawley, right? We've actually have people, we have more resources, more libraries, right? More resources, more libraries, right? We have access to the records, right? And so to maintain that a notion that they are Shemitic, and they haven't even proved that they are related to Semitic languages, right? They don't speak Semitic languages. They speak English just like we do, right? Some of them may be speaking Spanish, right? Because, well, whatever the case, but never the, maybe from the old world, uh, and maybe from the new world. That's fine. But the bulk of them read a King James version of the Bible that they think that that is the exact Bible when we know that there's mistakes in the Bible. So what we're dealing with, family, is we have to go back to the origins of the conversation. That's Crawley and F.S. Cherry, where they called this Israelites, making a claim. After they make a claim, then what you have is people trying to put fat on these thin bones, right? And then they want to classify people as Hamites, but they haven't shown that they are Semitic people by any of the tests. But yet this type of thinking continues in our community, right? And then not and it doesn't seem it seems that very few people, right, have the skill set to stop them, right? So the pseudo killers, they're not going to ever acquiesce to a false premise, right? So the false premise is that they are Shemites and we're Hamites. No, you're not Shemites, right? You are black folks or African American folks, by and large, who uh, who uh, taking a radical view, right? That the world doesn't largely use anymore. And by doing that, now you're classifying majority of Black Americans and Caribbeans as Israelites, only simply because they want a slave ship. So that you believe that the slave ships only picked up Shemites. Those are the only people, by and large, they might have made some few mistakes, but they knew exactly where to go to pick up the Shemites, right? They were strategic in picking up the Shemites, and we here are Shemites, right? Now, so I am, uh, I can do it. I would like to, at some point, I can do it right now, because if I showed you who Shem was, right? If I showed you who the Shemites were, they couldn't possibly make that link of being Shemitic because because the history does not substantiate large groups of numbers. So they believe that once they got into Africa, they spread like rabbits. Like, are they trying to recreate this thing that happened in that they said happened in Egypt? Where they come into Egypt and then they spread to millions, right? In the Delta region, which could not even ever support the millions that they talked about because they don't know about geography. They don't know about archaeology. They're like, we could go and find out the population. So millions of people spread there, and then there was an exodus. Believing in Yahweh and El, when there's no evidence that El and Yahweh was ever worshipped in Egypt by anybody, right? So what's going on? Jasharab says, what's the ancient Israelite DNA? Well, you might have J markers, right? That's fine. We don't have J markers. Jasharab says, how did the philosophers get debunked that they're actual factual? The philosophers are not being debunked as far as having a cultural relationship with uh, the uh, faith, right? But to have a DNA, a direct reference to Canaan or to the Levant, that is a problem. It's not that they are worshiping the faith uh, through trade, through however they got it. The fact is, or is they from Africa, Ethiopia, or were they from the Levant that crossed over? That's the issue. Um, okay, so Shesmu says to Konem Ashkenazi Africans. Interesting. You have to tell me more about that. Um, you have to tell me more about that. But what they are trying to say is that they are Shemites. That they put so if they lost their language, lost their culture, don't follow the original culture, read the King James Version, right? Don't even read Hebrew, don't know how to check Old Hebrew. We're we're supposed to believe them. No, that means you're acquiescing to a false premise. That means you're actually entertaining it. I got too much education to entertain something that I know that they can't prove in the first place. But first, they got to get past the FS Crawley. I'm FS Cherry and Crawley. They got to prove that those were prophets after Jesus Christ, right? That they had any prophecy for Black Americans. They're gonna have to prove that first, right? And if they can't prove that, and one of them you just got to throw completely in the garbage because he made a false prophecy. So he's a false prophet. That's the rule. Okay. So Chesmu says Numbers chapter 16 said, what about the Conan, right? About the Conan. Um, I'm not going into no Bible, right, to verify anything. The Bible is not a history book, it's not a science book. The Bible is a faith book, right? And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people with faith, right? Who is being they have a subjective belief in the faith, but they don't have an objective. So I'm gonna open up the I'm gonna open up the line and see if anybody has anything to say about what I said. My methodology or my point is that proof FS Cherry, right, and Crawley were prophets to say that we are Israelites. Um, Second, show uh, that you are a Shemite, right, in any capacity. Show it by DNA, by genealogy, by culture, by any of that. Show that that you have some holy blood, right? Show that the people in the continent of Africa who came to the Americas, right? That there was a specific group in Africa that you claim in the areas that you claim that have something to do with the Levant, right? So we're getting to what I'm trying to do to help is I'm trying to tell you where the arguments are. Now, some people want to argue the 12 tribes chart. That's what they want to do. They want to argue the 12 tribe chart. I don't want to argue the 12 tribe chart. I want to argue Noah, right, and his sons, right? And knowing that each of his sons got geographical areas, right? Their names became associated with geographical areas. And how did that happen? Well, I could tell you how that happened. Babylon, Assyria. because these goat herders, right? These grape growers, grapevine growers, didn't have an idea of the world at that time. They only knew their only place. They didn't know how big the world was. They got that through conquering nations that had conquered other places. And so then they grew some intellectual balls, right? Or some place name or some global balls. So they knew parts of Africa, but none of them knew the whole of Africa. So not knowing the whole of Africa, they're gonna isolate it down to mostly North Africa. They didn't even know about West Africa. West Africa is not in the Bible. So that's where we get. So my some of my shows don't have to be long. I put my methodology into the show. I don't have to go like some of these other shows and just regurgitate. I don't. Mine's just simple. It's really simple. Prove that you're a Shemite to be calling anybody a Hamite outside the Bible. Show me where those terms come from. Show me your extraordinary claims. Find them in a laboratory. So if anybody wants to come on, because I'm not going to be on long, I mean, for me to be on 2 hours, 3 hours, it doesn't, sometimes it really doesn't make any sense unless it's a hard topic. So let me just put and it doesn't mean just because my show is smaller that it doesn't make giant steps. So putting in a link, right? Putting in a link. And again, um, if you understand what I'm doing, support your brother Reggie, right? There's my cash app there. I appreciate that. Otherwise, like and subscribe to the video because see my arguments become the big arguments. My arguments are the arguments in this space that get duplicated, right? People forget where they got the arguments from, right? Like Brother Reggie is the first to call them in their face converts on the street of 125th Street, right? So I don't have a problem with goat herding, but goat herding don't make you global. And this feeds into all of this intelligent design and all of this stuff, this God concept where well anyway, these goat herding, sheep herding people did not have a global, an idea of the world. They did not. Um, they did not. And so for some Black Americans and Black Caribbeans to be running around and identifying with these people and identifying with Noah and trying to divide up our people based on Noah, right? Who are not prophets because they can't be prophets, is ludicrous to me, right? Now, my last show, you should go back and watch. It was interesting. Me and Captain Tazariak was talking a little bit about history, which was interesting. And I'm not saying that the captain believes Petrovich, but he did mention Petrovich and this Moses inscription. But he he probably didn't realize that that Moses inscription puts Moses in the 18th dynasty. If you put Moses in the 18th dynasty, you have a big problem in the context of Exodus, um, and you have a big problem in the context of the whole Bible, because that means Pi Ramesses is not built yet because that comes later. Pi Ramesses comes later. So then you kind of mess up the whole chronology of the Bible, Petrovich does, just because he wants to find some Moses roots. But yesterday, what I did show um, is I pulled out the um, Proto Sinaitic and Proto Hebrew, and in it is no Moses, in it is no law, right? In it is no Noah, in it is no Exodus. So history says that during the time of Judah and Israel, they were not talking about Moses. Moses doesn't appear until roughly the 4th century BC, right? And you have scholars that have written works on that, where they looked for Moses in the text, and he doesn't really appear until the 4th century BC, and he appears in Greek texts before he appears in the compiled canon Bible or Torah. So if you don't have Torah, if you don't have the Torah in Judah and Israel at that time period, then you don't have the law, you don't have Genesis, right? You don't have Moses. So you have to you have to know that it came about by later writers. So does anybody put the thing back in? Does anybody have anything to say about this? Because see, what I'm doing for you is I'm getting to, you can't call yourself Shemites. I'm taking that away from you. You converts can't call yourself Shemites. You can't. You're going to have to prove by empirical proof that you are related to a language, that you are related to a region by DNA and by your own genealogy. So you can't call us Hamites when you are not a Shemite or a Semite, a Shemite or a Semite. So you can't play those games with Brother Reggie, the pseudo killers, Brother Morpheus, right? Uh, um, uh, Sabio. You can't, Dasharab, right? You can't, Isonic. You can't play those games with Uncle Keck. You can't play, your days is over with that. Now it's just dealing with people that you meet up and down the street and then you making a claim. But look, it's 2025. You're acting like we don't have the tools to show that you're wrong. Now, what's going on? Let's see. Okay. Jasharab says the later writings throw everything off. Uh, Everything throws everything off, right? You got prophets in Black America saying that we are something that we're not. But then they're false prophets, right? Shesmu, what's Shesmu got to say? The chosen so-called people are the same people that symbolize devil is still trying to kill today because of being angry with God. Uh, Trying to put, I don't disagree, but their devil in the Old Testament is he's a prosecutor. He's working for God. He's working for their God. Now, later in Christianity, right, they have another concept of the devil or Satan or Lucifer, right? Yeah, we have revelations, we have all of that didn't even occur yet, right? So this is prophecy, revelation, didn't occur yet, right? So we don't have to listen to it because it's extraordinary claims with no evidence. It's acquiescing to, like Cedric would say, a false premise. We're not going to do that, right? What's this thing? Nature, we live on a sun planet. We live on a sun planet. We live on a planet that rotates around the sun. The sun is very vital for the survival of the species on this planet, the atmosphere and everything about it. But the Bible talks about creating the heaven and the earths, and in the beginning, the heavens wasn't populated. There, God put the stars and other planets. Imagine that, stars and planets that are older than the earth. Their God now puts them older stuff that didn't exist yet in the heavens. Now, look, if you believe that, that's your belief. I'm not trying to, just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. So I put out the link I'm waiting for Mika to show us what Captain Katazak says, right? What he said. Maybe he said something about me. Um, I'm I'm I don't need to talk about them personally. I just need to talk about the information. I don't play games. I don't play those type of games with. I don't have to play those type of games with them. That I'll be acquiescing to a false premise. So I don't have to play no games with people that I know can't prove the basis of what they say. I can accept that they have a cap. I can accept that they're building a nation. I can accept all of that, and I can accept that they are trying to give some people that need a program a program. I don't have a problem with that. That's what faith-based religions do. You don't have a program, uh, and you need the assistance of a God and God concepts. I don't have no problem with that. I grew up in the South. That's the same thing, right? I have no problem with them uh, calling people Hamites, but they have to show that they're Shemites to call people Hamites. That is our litmus test. Prove that you're a Shemite before you call somebody a Hamite. So Jasharab says yes, it's a long line of converts. The political writings of the converts confused everything. Of course, right? It's necessary because if you know how the world works, the state is actually God. What the state does, every state seeks to control the God concept. So the state becomes God, right? So you can identify leaders of states and what the state does, right? God bless America, right? You identify that with the God concept, and so the state actually acts as your God. Jasharab says the only Yahweh followers were the Remet of old Egypt. Jasharab, my only problem with that is that the Yahweh was never in uh, Egypt. It was in Canaan, and so was El. They never got to Egypt. Now Baal did. The Hekakasu worshiped Baal. So when I go and let me see if I can pull this up. Um, let's see if I can pull this up. I had it up yesterday. I'll go to my history, and I'll just walk through some things that I showed yesterday to cement it for today. If I can find it, give me a second. Um, the minute that they want to show me something, they need to go back into their old text, right? So if they can't go back into their old text and show me anything, okay, I'm coming close to it. Okay, now banana channel content. Okay. Uh, if they can't even show me their own ancient script and I gotta show it to them, it's pretty bad. Okay, so it's oh wow. I have to go through so much. I thought I could just quickly go back into my history, so I'm gonna have to go. All right, let me see. Super important. Comes up. No. So let me go to my bookmarks. Uh, give me a second. So I just want to walk you through what was in their land at that time, right? And bookmark manager, right? I want to walk you through their scripts at the time, scripts, okay, of their time. So now these fragments might find themselves in the Bible, but in its natural if it's natural state, it doesn't make up the Bible. So let's see. Where is it? I apologize. Oh, okay. All right. So there it goes right here. Put it over here. See if I can put it over here and see if you see it. Uh, yeah. All right. So I could have went and got Albright's decipherment and translations, but I'm gonna use this electronic critical guide to electronic resources again. Problem is that's a wrap. We don't see El, we see Baal in Egypt, but with the Hekakasu, we don't see El at all. Tamedi says, Ed didn't hear anything that actually refuted my evidence. People pull. I don't agree with the camps, but I can smell BS when I see it. You are just they, my friend. Who are you? Who are you? Let me put this up. You didn't hear anything that actually refuted any evidence. People pull. I don't agree with the camps, but I can smell BS when I see it. You are just they, my friend. Okay, so my problem is first, you might be on your phone. I got it. Write a sentence that I can understand. Second, I know you didn't see the whole video because the preponderance is not on us. The preponderance on is if you have an extraordinary claim. I mean, you have to show. So the extraordinary claim that African Americans were picked up by these ships because they were Shemetics, Shemites, right? And as if the people who were enslaving us on the ships, as if many of them weren't Jewish or right or Hebrew or Christian, right? So what you're saying is they're picking up Christians and Hebrews from Africa and bringing us to the Americas and leaving the indigenous Africans on the continent. So Hebrews and Christians on these ships, right, as Europeans, are picking and choosing somehow the true Christians and the true Hebrews and bringing them to the Americas. That's an extraordinary claim, right? Extraordinary claim means proof. Now you say you can smell or you can hear or you can see BS. Well, that's what we've been doing since we've been in this country, and we've been robbed of our names, our religion, our culture, and we've been subjugated. And the Bible was used as a tool to subjugate us. But you have extraordinary claims, so you're gonna have to put down your college. You're gonna have to put down uh, anything that you got published, right? Uh, what do you do, right? Any presentations you do, because you're making an extraordinary claim that nothing I said destroys any evidence. And I don't acquiesce to a faulty premise, and I don't acquiesce to faulty people who act like that they are something more than they are, right? So you show me what you wrote. I'll wait. Tell me what you wrote. Put a link to any of your writing samples, anything that you published. Let me know what college you went to, because I don't do what you think I'm gonna uh, do, right? Meaning I'm not gonna acquiesce to you because I know you published nothing. Okay, so who is popping in? Oh, Jose. Hey, peace, Jose. How you doing?
What's up, brother?
Yeah, I gotta deal with a poster, right? Shesmu says I call them traitors. I mean, you come in here, you might have some male how could I say? How could I say? You might have a beard now. You could fit in some man clothing. right? And you might go to the gym, but I want to know if you went to college. I want to know your sources. That's what I want to know, right? I don't want to know how many push-ups you can do, how much goat you eat, right? I don't want to know all of that. What I want to know is, did you go to college? Do you have any publications? Do you have any proof that you're Shemetic? Right. Now, okay. So-called African Americans, blacks, or Africans. That may be true in the context of a name, right? In just nomenclature, if you don't want to accept that the continent is called Africa, but you want to accept that Europe is Europe, and you want to accept that Israel is Israel, right? If you want to accept all of those terms, if you don't want to accept all those terms, uh, then 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 okay, I got it, right? But we do use classifications. So the continent of Africa, and the continent is called Africa, just like Europe, Eurasia is called Eurasia, right? But you want us to accept Put, right? Mizram, these are all classifications. Like, stop it with the weak articles. I mean arguments. Stop it, stop. But I'm gonna show you something. Uh Jose, you got anything to say? Pan African Designs in the building. What's going on, my good brother? How you doing? Peace.
Let me call my good brother. Chronology is important in any of his arguments because chronology make and break arguments all the time. Just on chronology, not even with the actual history, because you just chronology busted out the argument immediately to the chronology. And when I look at the chronology between the 18th and 19th dynasty, there's about 256 years in between the dynasties.
That's correct.
And that doesn't count necessarily the distance in between the possible Moses is as well. You understand what I'm saying? That might not a little bit.
Right. So if you're going to put somebody in the 18th dynasty, then and Ramesses is not in the 18th dynasty, then your Bible starts falling apart when you're dealing with Moses, right? And then you're gonna talk about proto-Sinaitic, then with the word Moses at a specific time period, then you pretty much are working to change the Bible. Now, scholars can do that, but biblical people can't co-sign it. But I can tell you what biblical people can co-sign, right? So this is what I'm going to show you again, right? Dasher Rabbit's right. J1 and 2 are the converts, right? So this is what you can. And so I have to take this off the screen. 1 second. I have to hide. Who's this? Oh, Shesmoon. I have to typically hide this. Okay. So let's put this on the screen for you. All right, we're going to go to the period that we know of the earliest part of the Hebrews, right? 12th century. All right, so we're looking at Bronze Age going into Iron Age, right? Now we're going to see, I'm not being facetious per se, but this is your writing. This is your writing. So, inscription from Tel Zayat, 10th century BC, very early, right? So, the inscription is in an alphabetical sequence. 4 consonants, W, H, and H and Z are inverted compared to their usual order. It's difficult to establish if the writing is Hebrew, considering the date of the inscription and historical and archaeological problems of the existence and extension of a united Israel reign, or even possibly the sole reign of Judah in that period. And whether or not that you weren't Hebrews yet, you were Canaanites. But we can go to the Gather calendar, 10th and 9th century, I mean, I know that this is writing, but this writing is not from a scribal school. This is someone who does know the script or learned the script, right? And at least we could say that instead of some birds walking on clay, right? But we can make out this script, but it's just not from a scribal school. But what we do have is the conversion into Hebrew, and then what we do have is not the law, not Moses, right? Not Genesis, not anything, not Yahweh, not El. We have the months of harvest, the months of sowing, the month of late sowing, the month of cutting the flax, the month of barley harvest, the month of harvest and the reckoning, the month of grape harvest, the month of summer fruit, but we don't have Passover. But this is in your place. Then the seal of Sem, servant of Yerim in the first half of the 8th century. Okay, and so it belonging to Sem, servant of Yerim. And then we get down to what we can say is early Yahwehism from uh, uh, um, uh, the inscription from Pithos A of Contilid, Arjurut, right? First half of the 8th century, where we do at least have Yahweh here, right? At this particular period, but it's not in the area that you call Jerusalem. It's further south, more in the Edomite territory. And it says Sheshu the king, say to Yah someone and to Yahwish, and I bless you on behalf of Yahweh of Samaria and of his Aserath. Aserath. So the Aserath disappears in your Canaan. But in the early days, she was there, right? Still no Moses, no law. But you at least have Yahweh, right? Yahweh of a particular territory, not Yahweh, the Almighty, the creator of everything, and all of that that's in your Bible. And he got a wife. So we go down, Ashrakana, Samaria. So this is what Joey's talking about with chronology, 850 to 750 BC. Okay, so 850 to 750 BC. Now we moving. So now we have do we have a transcription of it? Okay, basically it says these receipts together with the finding of tableware vessels in Phoenician style and furnishing plates in Nibe, also in the Phoenician style, but the Egyptian decorations indicate the economic development and reach of the northern reign in the shadow of the Assyrian Empire before the capitulation. Okay, so what do we have? Do we have Noah here? Do we have Genesis here? No, we don't have the law there. We don't have Genesis. We don't have Hamite. We don't have Shemite. We don't have none of the stuff that we see in the Bible later. And I could go on and on to. I think I'll go further than what I went yesterday. Found in 1880 in Jerusalem, the Siloam inscription describes the late stages of evacuations in the rock of the the aqueduct. The first voices that each of these term of the excavators hears coming from the opposite direction is followed by the arrival of canalized water, right? The correspondence with the literacy text, which refers to similar works of the time of Hezekiah, I guess when they're talking about the water that Hezekiah used to defend Jerusalem because they had their own water supply, right? And they had a floor of water. Concomitants with the siege of Sennacherib in 701 BC concerning his failed expedition against the reign of Judah and Egypt, right? And you can see the other versions that you could find in the King, in the Bible, right? And in Herodotus, the histories, right? But we don't see what we're expecting to see. Genesis, Moses, Noah. We got water now. We just don't got a flood. right? Now you go, you believers, and it's okay to be a believer. You go and you show me anything you can see fragments that make up your Bible, some history that you can draw from, but Jesus, the seal of sin in the 8th century BC. We're expecting to see the law, the Bible, the commandments. No, Moses, dun, 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 the crossing of the opening of the sea. Dag, what do we see? We see uh, Nile Valley iconography and wording with your wording, right? Where we expect to see the law. We don't see the law. The seal of Zeke, late 8th century. Now we see the Keppra beetle with Ra, with language of Hebrews or Canaanite, because I think that they were Canaanites. I'm sorry. I believe that they're Canaanites with a new name, right? A seal of Hebron, late 8th century BC. Wow, you got a flying Horus with some of your some Canaanite, or if you want to call this Hebrew, but you aren't you worshiping false gods, or how can I say idols? Isn't this idol worship? Don't tell me you got your Hebrew with idol worship. Like, you got to stop the BS. Now this is the letter 18 from Arad. Now we get into some words. To my lordly, may Yahweh take care of your prosperity, and now give to Shimri a latique measure, and to Kirosita you will give a Homer message about the matter which you ordered of me. Everything has been done in the house of Yahweh. That he sits. Where's Moses at? Anybody find Moses? Anybody find Noah? Like, I want to know where the Shemites are, the Japhets. I want to know about his sons. Anybody see Moses? I'm looking for Moses.
Well,
Moses.
Reggie, when we deal with this chronology, isn't this getting closer and closer to the end of the indigenous reign of the Kemetic people?
Well, I'm not dealing with Egypt at this point, because Egypt is not really relevant to this topic of them calling themselves Hamites and calling themselves Shemites and other people Hamites. But yes, this is going past the 26th dynasty, the 25th dynasty. Is going into the later periods where Egypt will be invaded by the Assyrians, right? So it's going into that period too, because the Assyrians will invade uh, the Levant, and the Babylonians will invade Levant. And in the 25th dynasty, of course, you had the Assyrians invading Egypt, and then later you will have Persia coming, and so it's moving closer to the Persian period. But I don't care about that. I care about Moses and the law. I care about Noah. Where's Noah? Hebrews, right? Shesmu, Mesopotamian god, right? Sin is the moon, right? That's supposed to be Abraham's father's belief, right? Where is the law? Where is Noah? Where is these words called Hamite and Shemite? Where is it? It's not there in history. In faith, faith can be a beautiful thing. So now we're getting down to closer, where you're going to have other groups of people coming in, the rise of the Greeks. Now we have here, Yahweh caused my Lord, Yahweh caused my Lord to hear news of peace. Even now, who is your servant but a dog, that my Lord should remember his servant? Yahweh, give a sign soon There is nothing you do not know. So now we have God, Yahweh being omniscient, nothing that he knows that he does not know. But where's Moses? Moses is not here. Where's Noah? Noah's not here. Where's Hamai and Shemite? It's not here from the records. Oh, now we get down. You've heard a lot about the Nash papyrus, but that's 150 to 100 BC, right? So the Nash papyrus, okay, the Nash papyrus, oldest document in Hebrew square script until the Qumran was found, was purchased in Egypt in 1898 and consists of 4 fragments which bear the 10 commandments, followed by the prayer, "Listen, O Israel." The text of the 10 commandments combines the versions of Exodus 22 to 17 and Deuteronomy 5, 6 through 12, 21. The document presumably originated in Egypt. No, please don't tell me it originated in Egypt. But the document presumably originated in Egypt, since the expression "house of slavery" in reference to Egypt is omitted. Other discordance between the two passages in the Masoretic text have been found. The textual particularities of the papyrus reflect in all probability its liturgical use, or perhaps its use in private prayer practice. Okay, so we got something from the 10 Commandments, right? That bear the 10 Commandments, but we don't got Moses yet. So they didn't create the story with Moses yet, but we do have commandments. So we do have law, but look what the date, that was 150 BC. What do we have in 100 BC? 100 BC, that's 100 years before um, the period of Christ, going just before Cleopatra in Rome and Caesar, perhaps already discovered in the 9th century AD, but forgotten and once found in 1947. In some grottos near the Dead Sea, the Qumran schools have revolutionized our knowledge of every aspects of Judaism, and in the Palestinian area from the 2nd century BC to the 1st century. Here is above the book of the earliest specimen of the biblical book of Isaiah, and beyond and below a section of the interpretation of the Pesher of the book of Habakkuk, an interpretation unknown before the discovery of the last century. I don't see no daggone Hamite and Shemite BS. I don't see no Noah yet. Noah's not written. And you know why Noah's not written? Because uh, because one of the young bright scholars reminded us all that, did you know in the Dead Sea Scrolls, right, that they have the Dead Sea Scrolls now, they're supposed to be the earliest biblical stuff, have the Book of Giants in it, have Ugaritic texts that they got from Babylon, that they still remembered and recalled and revered in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That isn't from Babylon's experience, that they're fusing their early, pardon me, but I have to say it. I mean, I don't want to get into problems, but this uh, uh, that stuff, that stuff gets fused with new knowledge from Babylon. But where's Noah? Oh, now it gets worse. Now we get the shekels, 69 and 70 AD. So, wow, the shekels, this is after the death of Jesus Christ. Shekel of Israel, year 4, Verso, Holy Jerusalem, uh, Verso for the freedom of Jerusalem. So now we know that we're in the wars, in the war period. Where's Noah? Where's Moses? Where's all of that? But now, oh my, no, I don't even want to get to the 10th century AD. The 10th century AD? I don't want to get to that. So this is where the stories start to become, uh, the fragments become whole stories now, right? And then we have 7th to 6th century BC. Uh, wow, we have the silver scrolls, the amulets, right? Where is in the silver scrolls? We have Yahweh there, but where's the other? Where's Moses? Where's Noah? Where's all of that stuff? Where's the law? Where's the law? We have a text of blessings. Yahweh may keep you. May Yahweh shine his face upon you. That will be echoed later in the formulas of Numbers 6 and the other verse. So here you can go here. Uh, this is a quick source. Just type Minamon, Ancient Writing Systems in the Mediterranean, a critical guide to electronic resources. Just go there, right? Writing systems, languages, right? But here in writing systems, we have Hebrew. And we can look at other writing systems, but we looked at writing systems of Hebrew, right? And you can find other sources. So where's the law, y'all? Where's the Hamite and Shemite? They wasn't using it there. Yeah, Septuagint comes along. That's a very polished version, right? Um, look, brothers and sisters, it's a farce. So put this link back in again. I see Joey's still here, I think.
See, but here's something interesting. How come any history of value to these people comes from somewhere else?
You said it.
Particularly Kemet for some strange reason.
I don't have to answer. I don't have to answer that.
I wonder, I wonder if you ask them what they would say. Because any history that they have comes from Kemet, Babylon, Sumer, and all those other places. There's nothing in their in their book or anything of that sort that really relates. And and what makes it even worse, Reggie, some of these things are things that they just found, by the way, a scrap here, a scrap there, and these things are way more important than their whole culture. One little piece of papyrus they found in Kemet
Well,
just mashed up their whole culture.
because nobody brings it up. Nobody puts it in their face, right? Shesmu's right. Romans
But
30 BC. Nobody puts it in their face. Nobody calls them to the carpet.
you know
No
what?
one.
They
Yeah.
do, Reggie. But you
Who?
know what they get to hide behind? I
What?
believe. Jesus said. God said. I believe. They get to hide
Oh,
behind belief because it's a religion.
yeah, but just stay there. Listen, this is not Bible school. You want to teach Bible school, camp school, teach it. Don't bring it. Don't bring it out in the public. Don't
I
bring
agree.
it out in the public.
I agree. But this is why people are religious, because they get to hide behind faith. And then you, as a person who's trying to bring out history, sometimes people who bring out history don't want to argue people's beliefs.
Oh
They
no,
don't
and
want to make the arguing belief.
they won't be coming on my channel, right?
I,
They won't be coming on my channel. That's why my channel is a ghost, because there's no need for them to come on the channel because I show them the scribble scrabble in the periods and ask them, "Do you got any better scribble scrabble?" Right? I'll show them the
but,
scribble scrabble. I'll show them where the other the Canaanites were writing better than them. Right? Right? They were writing fragment synthesis. I could show them where the Phoenicians were writing whole. Let me go find something with the Phoenicians. You go see if I can find something with the Phoenicians to show y'all something. Right? I could find the Moabites. The Moabites was writing better than these people, both the Moabites and the Phoenicians, right?
And here's
Uh,
another question: if they're gonna pick people from the past to attach themselves to, why do these group pick the worst names and the worst set of people in the worst conditions to brag and boast and say these are my ancestors? Why they don't pick the best? They pick the worst set of people who nobody likes. People look down on them. They have horrible character, and they pick these people as their ancestors, and then they get mad at you when you point it out.
yeah, well, they don't. How can I say? Because of that, they have to defend their faith.
But pick
It's
some good ancestors, Reggie. Don't pick the worst.
no, you
Don't pick
got
the ones that nobody likes. The horrible ones that everybody want to beat up and say they ain't no good. Don't pick them people. Pick some good ones at least to have a good argument. Don't pick the bad ones. Don't pick the horrible names, the Negro, the this, the that. Don't pick them people. Pick some good ones at least. You don't think you should? Even if they ain't
I'm
real, pick
not
some
trying
good
to help
ones.
them. I'm not trying to help them. I'm not trying to help them. I'm just trying to expose us to people so we can have a defense for better arguments. I am not trying to help them. Um, they like I will try to teach them, or to at least push back some things. But I care less because they can't substantiate. They can't substantiate their beliefs. I just showed you there's no Noah, there's no Moses, there's no law in the time period that it was supposed to be in. I just showed you that. So once I show you that, then their extraordinary claims goes back to them. You got to show us that, right? You got to show us your extraordinary proof of your extraordinary claims, right? So you're not going to have me on one of these shows arguing with these deep voice uh, uh, lamb eating dudes, right? I'm not going back and forth with them. Why do I have to? I'm Brother Reggie. I don't have to go back and forth with them. I got the evidence. They don't have no evidence. I can just laugh at them, right? I'm trying to find something with the Moabites. Yeah. Uh, I could show something, but I know that I have something really much better, right? So, all right, I'll start showing you some of this stuff. Let's see, share screen. I mean, there's people before these people that are much more important. Okay, so, uh, okay, I want to talk about Lot's incense. I want to talk about that. I do want to talk about. Let's go here, right? So we got Kimash, right? Uh, Kimash is in the Moabites, and they're fighting the early Israelites inside, kind of what they call the southern Levant, but really around the Red Sea, very south, like Saudi Arabia, around there, right? So here is Kimash, and Kimash looks a lot like Nermer, right? These are the close ties to Nile Valley culture, right? And so here's Kimash looking just like Nermer, right? Um, just like just like Nermer. Um, and these have iconographies that okay, so I don't want to go to Islam, but I did have to do that for a particular purpose. Um, we have the ancient Moabites. We have those groups of people, right? They're fighting the Israelites or the those that believe in Yahweh, right? Let me see. We got Horemheb. We got Horemheb in Asia, but that's in the late. Horemheb is in the late period of Egypt, right? Because we're still trying to figure out when the Exodus occurred. We have Horemheb with Asian captives, right? So that means those people in the Levant and then we have Asiatic captives, people that's in the Levant. But where's Moses? Where's all of this stuff? It's so confusing. Hebrews, can you tell us when the Exodus actually really occurred, so that we can nail it down? Because we do got we got captives, but none of them seems to be they're in the area, right, of the Bible, right? We can see towns known such as Arad and Bethshean and Megiddo. These are identified in these texts, but we don't have Jerusalem and we don't have Hebrews. Why are you making this stuff up? We don't have. We can respect your religion, your culture, right? We can respect it. We just don't have no evidence. We got here, you captive, you got caught, right? And we can see topology that refers to places that you claim, but we don't have Moses. Topical statue bas relief depicting 3 Canaanite place names, right, superimposed on Western Asiatic captives. The release was in Egypt. These are Asiatic captives, right? But where is, and this is outside of Egypt, in your areas. We have the Sea Peoples. Give you this. What do we have right here? We have, okay, this is Ramses and the Sea People, right? This is Ramses II. You know Ramses II, the one that's supposed to be, Ramses the Great, with Pi Ramesses, right? This is 1279 and 1213 BC. We know they are fighting with the Moab, right? What does this say? The suggestion that this Moab is comprised of a different ethnic group other than the one that follows, difficult to accept, the Sheshu in the Amara West list of Ramses II is also written with the same determinative as Moab. Moreover, inhabitants of the Shashu are known to occupy other regions in southern Transjordan, right? So now we in your house. The Egyptians are in your house, boys. They're in your house. They're in Transjordan, Edom or Midian. Moses went to Midian, right? And Yahweh is Edom. The ancient Egyptians are in your house, boys, in Ramses II, but he's not, he's in your house. So when did the Exodus occur? Boys, these regions are well outside the territory of Moab. Others have also maintained that it is from this early group that the early Israelites and Edomites emerged. So now Ramses is in your house, boys, in Midian, where your God Yahweh is, but basically at this time period, it's not certain that the Israelites emerged yet. Oh, I'm gonna blow this up. I'm sorry, it's so small. Why didn't somebody tell me this? Let me get my face off. Hey boys, hey yo, you converts. Like we in your house, yo. We in Midian. Ramses II is in Midian. Where your Exodus happened? We in your house, boys. We're in your Yahweh's house right now. Edom and Midian. Here's a source. Some new light on the Asiatic wars of Ramses II by Kittim. Source, the Journal of Egyptian Archaeology, volume 50, right? December 64th, right? Now, let me just do this again. Logically, Warshev's argument is structured as follows. Ramses II defeated the territory of Moab, inhabited by non-Moabite emities. Sheshu Shwatu, right? That's nomads took over the territory. They later established the kingdom of Moab. However, as early as the time of Ramses II, Moab is already referred to as a territory or region with certain fortified cities. The suggestion that this Moab is comprised of a different ethnic group than one that follows is difficult to accept. The Shashu in the Amara West list of Ramses II is also written with the same determinative as the Moab, same people. Moreover, the inhabitants of the Shashu, still the Shashu of Yahweh, are known to occupy other regions in southern Transjordan, Edom, or Midian. These regions are well outside the territory of Moab. Others have also maintained that it was from this group that the early Israelites, and they give the sources, and Edomites emerged. Moreover, the term Shashu in Egyptian accounts encompasses a broader geographical understanding not accounted for in the recorded structures. So, um, so now the particular words that they are looking for, that we're looking for, the particular terms is the Muabi and the Baturu. These groups of people are like the Moabites. The Moabites is named by the Egyptians Moabi, right? So there they go in the text. So here it goes right here. If you don't know anything about Metanetia alphabet, here is the Moabi, right? The M, Mu for water, U, B, I, right? And and this is a foreign territory, right? And then there is the Buturi, B, Ubi, U, Ubi, T, R, T, I, R, T, I, right? Which they transcribed as the Buturi. So here is the the ancient Egyptians putting belt to bottoms, right, of the Moab people. Where are the Israelites? Let me put this back up here. Stop sharing. I don't know what happened. Put this back up here. Share. Where the Israelites? Where your laws? Like, where's your Hamites and Shemite BS? Where is it? Like it don't fit. It don't fit. It's nice culture, but it don't fit. Now what we got over here, I guess this is where actually it was. Um, Other data, new evidence is sufficient to show that the forces of Ramses II penetrated the debatable territory north of Arnon, taking Dibon, and probably the heartland of Moab between the Arnon and Zered, right? One might assume that an Egyptian force came up via Gaza and Philistia near Gezer, turned eastward up the Arjalon Valley and over the hills of later Judea, but you weren't there yet. We in your house. Africans are in your house, boys, before you were there. Across the Jordan near Jericho and the plains of Moab, just northeast of the Dead Sea. Then it goes up on the Mishur Plateau and strikes south to Dibon and over the Arnon to Buturutu. But other relevant evidence needs to be considered. The claims of Ramses II on Edom. First, the closing lines of his rhetoric style from Tel El Tipaba in the eastern desert describes the king as the king Ramses II making great slaughter in the land of the Shashu. We putting belt to bottoms, yo. The Africans, belt to bottoms, yo. He plunders their tails, slaying their people and building with towns bearing his name. The problem is, the problem is, where are you? Where's your laws? Where's your Hamites and Shemites? You're not calling nobody no Hamite, Shemite, no nothing when you getting belt to ass. You getting belt to ass in history. So we not see you messing with a different type of person. I'm brother Reggie, right? You're messing with a different type of person, right? I don't know who you think you're messing with. I'm gonna pull it up. Where is your law? Where's your Moses? Where's right? Where? Where is this about Edom and Canaanites and Kemet relationships? Like we putting belt to bottoms to Canaanites. You ain't there yet. You ain't. So where was your Exodus? You're not coming on my page, uh, talking about Khan and all that, all the, whatever you talk. You're not coming on my page doing that, right? Because I'm gonna show you real history. You're gonna show me the Bible, right? So, uh, our very own Jonathan Owens, uh, he looked at the Maripata Stella, right? And his meta nature is really pretty good, really, really good, right? And he goes through and the issue is now we are in again, Egypt is putting belt to ass. Where is where are you in your law, right? So we have all of the terms here, the meta nature terms. We have Ascalon, we have uh, Getcher, we have Yanoam, and we might have Israel, but not Israel, right? So we have the places that's supposed to be important to you, right? And we put belt to ass, right? We put belt to ass. Where is your where you ain't calling us no Hamites. You ain't call us Hamites in history. You wasn't nothing to call nobody no Hamites and you Shemites in history. Ah, I mean, show them history, y'all. This is what the big boys do. Show them history, right? Um, yeah. Here you go, right here. So, yeah, you want to see? Yeah. You can do this all day. So here's what you're supposed to be. YSIRIAR and your people. This is supposed to be the people group that you believe is Israel, but we might think that this is not Israel, but this might be Syria, right? Syria. And he go to people group right here, right? There you go. And there's Ascalon over here, right? Well, what else do we have over here? Let me find it and see if I can find Gezer real quick. Going through here, we in your house, boys. So because you don't have in you don't do this type of work, but we can get the references. We in your house, boys. So who you calling Shemite or Hamite? Where's all of the stuff that you're talking about? You people are still writing chicken scratch. So look, I can go on and on. I'm put my so when y'all need me, y'all call me. They never give me enough time on those shows, but yeah, what can I say? You know, what can I show? I end it for them real quick, right? So you know, you got to squeeze as much lemonade out the. Lemon juice out the lemon, right? Lime out the lime, because I end it. Like I'll end it for you. We in your house. The Africans that you hate, the Hamites, is in your house, but you're not writing yet. You're not writing. You getting belt. You getting belt to butt. Pause. So don't give me your little terminology. Um, I will talk about your false prophecies, your false prophets. I will talk about all your contradictions. And you know what? You got nothing for me. So there you go. Um, cash out. Like, there's very few people that can show you how deep this stuff is. I'm one of them. Uh, yep. Support your brother Reggie.
Well, you know what gets me mad, brother?
Why?
Some of these guys take time to learn Medu lecture under good teachers, and then they go and come out in public and mess up the Medu lecture
Well,
and try to relate it to their belief system after someone took the time to teach them Medu lecture properly. That's very bad, Reggie.
well,
Because I watch them do it, Reggie.
well,
And I am one who they tell me I am not the best reader or the best speaker, but I'm watching them do it. I'm saying that's wrong. That has nothing to do with what you're seeing there at all. And I could tell them that. And I'm nowhere near as skilled as you are, Brother Reggie. And I could look at that and tell them they're wrong.
yeah,
That don't make any
and
sense.
that's part of the growth. But listen, I'm 60 years old. Oh, my brother La, what's going on? Peace and blessings to you, brother La. How you doing, my good brother La? You see, yeah. Thank you. Always keep saying something positive. But I'm putting belt to some shemite ass tonight. I'm putting belt to the ass, right? So now I'm showing you where the so-called Hebrews are doing chicken scratch. Uh, this is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This is Herkabet. This is my man Herkabet, right? Uh, let me put Herkabet up. If you go to the Met, uh, I will read part of Herkabet for you. Um, we have a really great giant in our community. Uh, uh, he goes by the name of Jadamonk Hekare. Jadamonk Hekare can read this whole thing from beginning to end verbatim, right? Um, uh, I could read some of it, but uh, Brother Lamar, Jadamonk Hekare, uh, yeah. He could start over here where it says recitations to the Asar, right here, recitations to the Asar, Herkabet, right? He read it down. This word over here is this word right here, if you don't know, is Eastfet. Eastfet right here, Eastfet. Maybe Brother Lamar will read it to you online one day, right? He will read this whole line. But the reason why I'm putting this up is because our boys, the Phoenicians, said, "Yo, I need that. I need that for our prince. I need that. I need that." And so the Phoenicians said, "You know what? I want to be buried like a Nile Valley African, and I need that." And so Eshumanazar, he's he was a prince and he died, and his father said, "Yo, I need that. I need that for my right." And so they wrote the script for him in Phoenician, right? Looking like a Nile Valley African. Ain't nobody talking about no Hamite and Shemite, right? And all that Noah book, none of that, none of that. So you could take that and you could flush it down the toilet, because ain't nobody talking about calling no African, no Hamite at that time period. So you could do that now, but you really can't do it because you really don't know history, right? You're doing play. You're doing a little Bible study. But you know what? The Phoenicians can write, and your people that you claim to be was writing chicken scratch, copying other people close to you. What you gotta say about that? Show me any writing in the 8th century that's more complete than the Phoenicians. This is the Eshumanzar, right? Sarcophagus, 5th century BC. Show me your writing in the 5th century BC beyond chicken scratch. And show me where you're using Hamite and Shemite in all of that. So don't play, because we got your writing at that time period. You couldn't write, yo. You couldn't write. So nobody respected you like that. So then there's the Moab. Here's the Moab stela. See the Moab stela right there? They was writing. Where was you writing at? Beyond chicken scrap. Here the Moabs is writing about y'all. Or at least the culture, right? And full sentences. I am Meshe, son of Chemosh, king of Moab, the Dibonite. My father had reigned over Moab 30 years, and I reigned after my father, who made this high place for Chemosh in Karhar, because he saved me from all the kings and caused me to triumph over all my adversaries. As for Omri, the king of Israel, he humbled Moab many years, for Chemosh was angry at his own land. So before God Yahweh was angry at his land, let me just see if I can get this out of here so I can blow this up. Right? Chemosh was angry at his people. So it seems like you stole that. You stole that when you wasn't even writing. Now Omri, right? Right. So his God said, I'm going to humble Moab. Later on, your God Yahweh humbles Israel. But nevertheless, I digress. I will humble Moab in my time, he spoke thus, but I have trumpet over him and over his house, while Israel hath perished forever. So they beat the brakes off of Israel. Now Omri had occupied the land of Modiba and Israel, and I had dwelt there in his time and half the time of his son Ahab, 40 years. But Chemosh dwelt there in my time, and I built Baal Meon, making a reservoir in. So he's a Baal believer, and I built Koryatan. Now the men of God had always dwelt in the land of Atara. So it's one of the so-called 12 tribes. But this is in Transjordan, not in Israel, yo. And the king of Israel had built a Tory for them, but I fought against the town. And I took it and I slew the people of the town, a satiation, intoxication for Chemosh and Moab. And I brought back from there Ariel, his chieftain, dragging him before the Chemosh in Keratoth, and I settled there men of Sharon and men of Marathoth. And Chemosh said to me, go take Nebo from Israel. So I went by night and fought against it from the break of dawn, yes, y'all, to the beat, y'all, right? On and on and on to the break of dawn until noon, taking it and slaying all 7,000 men, boys, women, girls, and maid servants. For I had devoted them to destruction for the god Ashtar, Chemosh. He drove, you know what he just did, y'all? So y'all don't understand that type of wording. Yo, he took men, what did he say? He took 7,000 men, boys, women, girls, and maidservants, and he human sacrificed the Israelites to his god, Chemosh. How come y'all don't talk about them, yo? How come you ain't talking about the Moabs that sacrificed 7,000 human sacrifice, one by one by one by one to Chemosh? Why y'all got so much hatred for the African, calling them Hamite? But where's right? Well, I don't understand that. But let me just say, I devoted them to destruction for the god Ashtar Chemosh, and I took them from there the blank of Yahweh, right? Dragging them before Chemosh. And the king of Israel had built Jahaz, and he dwelt there while he was fighting against me. But Chemosh drove him out before me, and I took from Moab 200 men, all first class warriors, and set them against Jahaz, and took it in order to attach it to the district of Dibon. How come y'all don't talk about that? Y'all want to play with African Americans, but now I ain't playing with you in history. I ain't playing with you. So don't play me with that Shemite and Hamite and we Shemites. Well, I tell you one thing, Moab took belt to bottom in history. But you can play with your false identity. But you know what the people want? But I find that the people pay for the people pay for play. They pick and choose the comedy hour, right? Don't play with your brother Reggie. Don't play with your brother Reggie. Because I'm not going to play with you. I'm not going to play with your little fantasy terms, right? I'm not going to play with you. Because I'm going to show you primaries in history. I'm going to show you your own primaries in history. I'm going to show you chicken scratch, yo. I'm going to show you where it should be Moses and Noah, and it ain't that. But then I'm going to do you worse. I'm going to do you dirty. I'm going to show you how you lost to other people, and guess what? You're not even writing. So anyway, I think that's Moab. Who else I want to talk about? Oh man, I could talk about the Canaanite goddess Anat, right? Who ancient Egyptians actually at some point brought her fine self into the Egyptian pantheon because she was a goddess. She's a warrior goddess. There she go, right there, Anat, right? So it wasn't about how can I say you don't want to make it racial. They respected Anath and they respected the Moabite goddess Ashtoreth, right? So they brought them in, right? They respected those women. They didn't respect the dudes, but they respected these women, right? There you go. Oh, does she got I just want to check something. She had rosettes. Let me just see that for my own. Yeah, she got beautiful rosettes right here. These are Nubian rosettes right here. Wow. They look like flowers. Oh, that's beautiful. So now we're dealing with Iron Age Jordan, right? There we go. Chemosh. We already talked about my man Chemosh. We already talked about that. Then we got the Magi's. That was Jonathan Owens' book. Shout out to Jonathan Owens. Handbook for the Conscious Community, Jonathan Owens. If you ain't got that book, get it. That dealt with our debate that we had with the Hebrews. So let me see. So Libya, yeah, all this, yeah, the ancient iconography in Libya. So we don't really have to and so here's one of the timelines, and then you get down to this period over here, right? You get down to this period in 1806, where you have Joseph and Jacob, right? Supposedly in this area right here, supposedly. So my issue is supposedly, right? Supposedly. Oh wow, you got to watch this. So this is Abu symbol, right, in Egypt, and you got the Moabites having something very, very similar, right? Let me see what else I got here that I want to talk about. That's Islam. We're not going to mess with Islam at all today. Uh, yeah, I don't want to mess with Islam today at all. But if they play around, I will take out my belt. Yeah. Okay. So let me stop sharing. So family, I'll get something to drink. Don't play with me with no Shemites and no Hamites, because in real life y'all wasn't calling nobody that in history. Nah, y'all were defeated nation. Y'all weren't calling nobody no extra. Y'all weren't doing that, huh? You know what you do? You learned it from the big boys. The Babylonians, the Assyrians. The big boys, the Egyptians, right? Right? You couldn't even handle the Moabs, right? You weren't calling nobody no Hamites because they was on your neck. So don't be playing today with those terms and trying to make your fantasy culture bigger than what it is. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right? Because we're gonna have to pull the curtain back. The covers off of the old car, the old Cadillac. We're gonna have to show you that you was really, really quarter waters. Couldn't even write, right? Quarter waters, right? So don't ISUPK and the One West Camp, quarter waters in history. Yeah, I mean, y'all should pick. Most people pick the winners. You ain't win nothing. I mean, you beat up your own people.
Brother Reggie, I'm waiting to see if they're gonna respond and what their response is gonna be. That's what I'm waiting to see. What they're going to say now that you put this.
No, nobody will see it because it's on my small page. No, Shesmo, those are rosettes. Those are okay. So the rosette, I understand what you're saying, but the term, if you want to say that only people in Europe had rosettes, the concept the concept of that came from Africa, and so I don't have a problem with what you're saying. I'm just saying that in deep Sudanic culture, they had those flowers. But you're not wrong if you're just saying rosette as far as what if it has a, but it doesn't have a European origin at all. So but we have taken back the concept from Europe. But yo, we're your Shemite and your Hamite from your false prophets, right? Check 1 2 1 2 1 2. You show us some primaries. Show us the law in the 8th century. Show us Moses, yo. Show us Moses in the Elephantine papyruses. When y'all went to Elephantine, right, as Persian soldiers, and you fought with the worshippers of Khnum, huh? Yo, show me where you was calling them Hamites. When you had to go to the Persian king after the temple got knocked out, and you was begging the Persian king to rebuild your temple. I ain't see you calling nobody no Hamite. When you call him Hamite, show me history where you calling somebody some Hamite. Don't play with us. This is 2025. I know I might look your age. Not your age, boy. Nah. Worked in a research center, yo. Yeah. Got college, yo. Pretty good with the meta. Not great, but pretty good. You'll keep your little fantasies in the comic book store. Yep, Taharka saved them. What I got to say about Taharka? I want to say that the Assyrians that captured Taharka's family in history, they made the first violent racial comments. I'll show it on another story, another show, right? They said that his heir and his wives, the heir and his wives, they was black as tar. Yeah. So they did the skin color thing, right? And then later the Babylonians, and then they took Judah and Israel, the Babylonians and Assyrians, and the Hebrews grew up there until the Persians liberated them, and then they came back. They came back with a new mind. But guess what? We've done a research on ancient Canaan and Israel. We done looked at the exhibit that they had called "The Rivers of Babylon." By the rivers of Babylon. Yeah, we seen that exhibit. I got that exhibit. Yeah, when y'all were worshiping poles. Yeah, Asherah poles. We got that. Not too much writing. Keep playing with me, and I'll bring it out. Right? Keep putting false history on our people, and I showed you. So all that Hamite, you trying to do to say cool and people that believe in, yeah, you wasn't seeing none of that in history. Man, Noah didn't come to Babylon when y'all started mixing Gilgamesh stories and all of that. Then you get a table of nations, yo. You got that in Babylon. It wasn't in early Israel. It wasn't there. It wasn't there, yo. Stop telling lies, yo. There you go, Shishak. Yeah, that's late. Uh, uh. Well, let me see. Shishak is what is Shawshank? 22nd, 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 23rd Dynasty. Shawshank. Yeah. Then it's Tahak is 25th. Shawshank, I think, is earlier. So anyway, those are Shawshank against the Libyans, right? But y'all wasn't, nobody was listening to y'all. Y'all was small boys, nobodies on the block of history. But ultimately, the Bible and the story based on Rome, the big boy, right, chose y'all. Right? I mean, the Greeks, they chose Egypt for a while, Ptolemies, but Rome had to get rid of all of that, so they chose Christianity, right? And and then they went through your book, and they created the Septuagint. So I mean, we could go on and on and on. I don't want to do that. Yeah, Necho, and then we have Necropolis, the Greek settlements and stuff like that. I don't want to do that. Kimberly Bell Cohen. Hey, Kimberly, how you doing? Hi, Kimberly. FBAs are trying to replace African American documented history, roots, and culture. Sister Kimberly, I'm on there. I'm putting belt to ass with them FBAs. I'm putting belt to ass on them, right? I ain't gonna lie, right? They ain't got no plan, Kimberly. Sister Kimberly, they ain't got no plan, right? They started off. They started off using African history. Now they hate Africans, right? But they started off. That's how they made their money. That's who they became. And then all of a sudden, they created this new identity, right? That's not in history. They know FBAs, right? Foundational Black Americans. What? No, they were colored. They were Negroes. They were Africans. They were enslaved. That FBAs is a new term. And you want to know something, Kimberly? That's why I always say to them, hey, yo, the FBAs, they not you. All FBAs, respectfully, are deceased because they were the foundational. They were in the past. You not them. You culture vultures. You're not FBAs. The FBAs were, if you want to say they foundational Black Americans, they all gone. They ain't been around since the 1930s and 40s. They were one of the greatest. But you're not them. You're the bastard children who don't know no science, no history. You're the bastards. You're not FBA. You're not the foundational. No, the foundationals did their job, got us here. The Booker T. Washingtons got us here. The revolutionaries like Nat Turner, you ain't them. You bunch of weed smoking dudes. See, I was born in Newport News, Virginia in 1965, right? I could show you my genealogy. I could show you my genealogy all the way up until roughly maybe the 1810s. You just like culture vultures like anybody else. You want to talk to me? I only want to talk to the ones that can show their genealogy. I want to be sure you from here, since you're running that game. But if you can't show me your genealogy, you can't show me your writing, you're just ignorant as they are. As the people I'm just talking about, you ain't write nothing, you can't write, right? You ain't published nothing, you can't publish. You're a culture vulture. You're stealing other people's cultures. What you write? Show me an article on FBAs. Show me your genealogy. Show me that you went to college. I want to know that you went to college. I was in the classes of Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Dr. Joseph Benjocanan, Dr. John Henry Clark. I got honors in Black Studies. I worked at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. I ain't seen none of y'all. I have a published article on reparations. Yeah, let me go find my published article on reparations. Right? Let me show you. Before any of them sloppy dudes talk to me, right? Let me see. Let me show my This is another group of I'm glad, Kimberly, you brought that up. Reparations is. We got all these culture vultures in our community. Where is it? Reparations. Is that? I could show you in what? 2001, me testifying at a reparations conference. Reparations, how did that? Okay, I'm sorry. I ain't found it yet. I'm going to find it right now. Yeah, it's coming out. I'll show you. Yeah, Black Agenda Report. Show you Black Agenda Report. Okay. See, Patriot represents dead. Black Agenda Report. Yeah, let me show you. Yeah, let me show you. Share screen. Okay. Institute of Black World, July 20th, 2017. This 2025, right? Right? Okay. This is my article in 2017. On 2017. You are here by Reparations is Dead, How to Resurrect It, by Dr. Jahi Issa and Reggie Mabry in 2017. The moral case for Black reparations has effectively been made, but the legal argument has met much frustration in the courts. The authors believe that the period after 1808, when U.S. participated in international slave trade was outlawed, is a key to clearing the legal hurdles to reparations. I wrote that in 2017. 2017 marks 100 years since the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey moved his headquarters to the UNIA, etc., right? Garvey said, "I want Negroes first to realize that every Negro in an African is an African civilization. Before we were Americans or West Indians, we were African citizens. Negroes were never born originally to America in the West Indies. Negroes were originally born in Africa itself. Isn't it so? Where did your forefathers come from? Georgia? No, they came from Sierra Leone, West Africa, or they came from wherever, West Africa. They were first African citizens before they emancipated by Abraham Lincoln, who made Afro-Americans, and by Victoria, who made Afro-West Indians." This is Marcus Mosiah Garvey talking. Like, yo, you FBAs, you just as sloppy as the Hebrews. You're always trying to separate African people, right? But guess what? Come for me. I want to see if you publish something in 2017 that got published in a major reparations journal article, right? Right. Yeah. I could talk about reparations. I have a whole, but that's not the point. But Kimberly, thank you so much for reminding me that I got to get on some other sloppy make believe type people who never did nothing. But they got an army, but they ain't got no plan, right? Let me see what Brother La is always peaceful. Sometimes acknowledging and personal people is worse than talking to them, brother. It'll cost you nothing. It pays them no mind, beloved. Brother La, I'm putting foot to neck, belt to ass. Pause, right? I'm treating them like babies. I'm acknowledging them as babies. Brother La is always so peaceful. But I know Brother La, right? But I'm putting belt to ass to these people. You show me something. You show me that you was dealing with reparations in 2017. Any of you, any FBA.
Brother Reggie, it was nice. Great work as usual.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go off now.
Okay.
Thanks again for the wonderful information. I'm always tuning in.
Okay.
So people support your brother Reggie with the cash apps. Give the brother a cash app. Show the brother a little support. He puts together a very good presentation and he takes his time. These are probably the best, well put together presentations I've ever seen with so much information. So send the brother the cash app, man, if you can.
Yeah, $1, $5, right? $7. I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that for my time. Since
it's just a principle of the thing, people, and I think people don't understand that.
Yeah, I think
it's an old school principle involved, and people need to understand that. That's what it's about. And when you go on other channels who ain't talk about nothing for the same amount of time, you're giving them cash app, you're sending them super chats. and then you mad at Brother Reggie for speaking the truth. That's not cool.
What this Isaiah BS talking about? Has mingled a perverse spirit in the midst, therefore, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work there are. Yeah, they erred in building the pyramids. What you build? What you build? Huh? What you build? You were smoking cannabis on dung, like to get closer to God. Like you got great fantasies. You got the greatest fantasies on the planet. Yeah, but you are not even attached to those people. I'm attached to African history, African culture. I'm not Egyptian. I'm not Egyptian. I've been there though. You been in your holy land, your promised land. Yeah. Guess what? I've been to Jordan. I've been I've been to West Africa, Senegal, Ghana, Ivory Coast. I've been to Egypt, passed through Jordan. Yo, you been anywhere? You been outside this country? You been to your homeland? Hey, yo, who you talking to, man? You gonna give me some little Bible verse? I don't respect it. I don't respect nothing you just said. You weren't, the Israelites were not in Egypt. El and Yahweh were not in Egypt. Show me your Exodus. Show me something smart. Wait. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you so much. Hey, yo, Israel is a people before a place. Ah, nah. Nah. If you say that it's a people, if you say it's a people, where the people are now, yo? You those people? Or you Christian? You believe in Christ? You believe in Christ? You don't have Israel is not a holy land? Hey yo, say that for somebody maybe younger than you, yo. I'm pretty sure I'm much older than you. Like I'm pretty sure you got. I'm just. I mean, you come on the wrong show. You got any college? You got any writing? I know you can find a biblical. You got anything of your own? Like you didn't cut your name off, your genetic line off by choosing a name that don't even reflect your daddy and your mommy. Your daddy was Yasharala 144. Your daddy was circumcised in the temple. Were you? You're a Christian. You were circumcised in the hospital? Like, listen, man, to me, it's like putting this like Halloween, putting on a costume, yo. You want to come on my show, right? And I'm not really even talking about Egypt, except for Egypt, who you call Hamites is putting belt to ass in ancient history. Yo. Yo, you Reggie, what you say? Would you say, Reggie, your spirituality a 2-day-year-old baby? My spirituality? You right. I ain't got no spirituality. You right about that. It's not even 2-day-old baby. I ain't got no spirituality. But I got history. You right about that. I ain't got no spirituality. I ain't no believer. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Your spirituality. You're a convert. Hey, brother La. Hey, brother La. They're like the sister. You see the sister. Sisters are wise. Look what she said. Make him show his genealogy and his genetics, taking him back to Israel. She laughing at you. She laughing at you. And she got a real life name that says Kohan. And she laughing at you. Man. Anyway, look, Oh, have a good day, sir. You too. You have a good day. Don't come on my channel playing no, put no scripture up when you can't find Noah. You can't find Noah the law in proto Hebrew, proto Sinaitic where it's supposed to be. Don't. We could be cool, but don't be coming on my page playing no little costume games. But you have a good day. So with that said, family, I it's 10 o'clock. I didn't expect to be up here all the time. I hope that you all learned something. If you can watch my show, read back, you can find out simply that this whole thing of Shemite and Hemite is a farce. They got to be Shemites to call you a Hamite, right? And to all the people that came on, I so appreciate you. Kimberly, thank you so much for coming on. Brother Lai, and my day ones, and that I appreciate you. My I appreciate everybody come on. I got a little small channel. Let me put my face on. Stop sharing. I have a little small channel. I do have 4,000 subs, but my stuff is more history than to arguing back and forth directly, because they don't come on my channel. They just come on my channel to chatty. They don't come on my channel with no information because they ain't been nowhere. They ain't got no college. They ain't write nothing. You can't Google them in their fake names and their costumes, right? They sound good on the other channels. They swole up with the lamb, swole up with the lamb and the big necks and the deep voice right? Yeah, but that don't mean nothing to me, right? You can't prove nothing. I can go back and show you your own scripts. So they don't come here. They come on those other pages where they can argue and they can play make believe. Can't play make believe here. So, um, so I want to say, Shesmu, thank you so much, and I'll be back soon. I think let me see. I just want to see, because normally, listen, I got a good relationship with One West. I respect One West. They're army. I respect them. They doing what they doing. I just have a problem when we feed into some of that stuff. I'm not getting mad at them saying what they say about Africans, Hamites. I don't get mad at that no more. I just let them know that in history they makeup artists. They put on mascara as men. They put on mascara, lipstick, and shit, right? like, like, like they making shit up. Like, show me the history. Just show us the history. Don't show us the Bible. Show us history, and we can talk. All right. I mean, otherwise, normally they don't. That's why I'm not. You don't hear me beating up on One West. I'm not beating up on One West. Because they don't really mess with me like that, right? And what they use people like me to make themselves better and have better arguments. Like I don't be arguing directly with no Captain Tazariak or Captain Katazar, and certainly not General Yohana in the street, unless they say something about Dr. Yosef Benjo Cannon. Now we arguing. But outside of that, we not arguing when it comes to history, right? But if you want to talk about Dr. Ben, then I want to talk about Abba Bivens. I want to talk about Crawley. I want to talk about Cherry. I want to talk about false prophets and false prophecies. I want to talk about the Comforter. But we never have to go there because we cool. We real cool. We real cool. So with that said, I want to say peace, and hey, don't get upset with ISUPK. They organize. Y'all get organized. You'll stop following these cartoon characters, right? These people that you make great leaders and then they fall. Umar Johnson. That's somebody I know. See, I could talk about people I met and talked to. Young Pharaoh, right? Nature Boy, I just refused to have anything to do with. You never see me with no Nature Boy, ever. He was around when I was around, right? You never see me have a conversation with him. So I do real life stuff. Other people, they might name drop and stuff like that, but they wasn't there. When was you there? I was around. I devoted, fortunately, too much time in my life to trying to understand and talk to people. Maybe too much time of my life. So now I'm 60 years old. I'm 60. So I'm a mister now. Okay, well, again, and I appreciate any sister that comes on. Appreciate that. That's who we do this work for. If you're ever in New York, Kimberly, your family, your husband, your children, come to the Metropolitan Museum of Art with me. Bring your family, um, and then we could talk about all history. But with that said, I'm gonna leave tonight. Thank you so much for coming, and if you have Sister Kimberly supported me, so that means you can support me. Buy me breakfast tomorrow. So with that said, I want to say peace to y'all. Thanks for joining me.